Welcome one and all to the finale of my review series on Dead Money. Wow, it has been quite the adventure, huh? I've had a lot to say about Dead Money, some good, some bad, some glowing, and some very critical. However, I think that Dead Money overall is a very tremendous piece of content, but the fact that the DLC was fairly rushed is incredibly apparent, at least in some aspects. It's no secret that New Vegas was a rushed game. Bethesda only gave Obsidian 17 months on the project, and Dead Money came out a mere 2 months following New Vegas. I'm not about to pretend that New Vegas isn't marred with technical issues. Sure, the modding community has done a great job at stabilizing it, but has anyone ever actually completed the game without encountering a bug? Dead Money has its own fair share of technical shortcomings. If you want a complete list of them, you'll have to check out the wiki because I just don't have the time for that. But just in my time playing through it for this review, which covered about 7 characters, I encountered a litany of technical hiccups, such as sudden filter changes, issues with lighting, AI failures, a couple of crashes, frequent issues with the dialogue between characters at the Villa Fountain, being damaged through a wall by my own explosive trap, stuttering, entire models bugging out, that hilarious glitch that makes bodies fly around like some kind of pissed off eldritch horror, and God even knows what else that I've forgotten about. I've played literally over 2,000 hours of this game at this point, so I won't pretend that all of this phases me anymore, but I'm also not about to give it a pass for that. It's more of an overall issue with New Vegas as a whole, but the fact that it bleeds over into the Dead Money experience means that it directly affects the Dead Money experience, just as the base gameplay and mechanics would. As far as the gameplay of Dead Money, I would consider it passable. It's not particularly good, but there's enough depth to the mechanics that it can really engage the player regardless of their build or playstyle. Besides, I've already said that I consider this a survival horror game, so as a YouTube reviewer, my job is to prefer terrible gameplay to a more polished and well-made system. After all, that's what survival horror is all about, isn't it? Having shit controls rather than a properly implemented challenge that tests the player's skills and wit simultaneously but fairly. I'm kidding. But I fucking hate it when people say that kind of shit though, it's really stupid. Anyways, about Dead Money's gameplay, you may have noticed a couple of things about my own playstyle, or at least the footage of the series. I love VATS, and I use quick save. A lot. I'll spare you the video essay on the implementation of VATS, but as far as Dead Money goes, I do feel like VATS is a bit of a crutch. At least for some builds. The ghost people move around very awkwardly, and while I certainly can deal with them using the standard aiming and shooting, VATS is just far more reliable and effective, especially with accuracy boosting perks. Explosive builds, melee builds, and, at points, stealth builds don't really need to use VATS that often, it's more just there to look cool. But trying to shoot these wibbly-wobbly enemies as they bob and weave using the very mediocre controls of New Vegas can just feel ridiculous when you have a literal auto-aim. And unlike most of New Vegas, Dead Money is pretty close quarters, so even without accuracy boosters, the chance to hit is rarely below the 60 to 70% range, unless you've just got a broken arm or skull, or just piss poor stats, I guess. I did play through with a character that had really shit stats, so that's actually kind of true. As far as quick saving goes, I primarily just do this for the sake of footage. In case something happens that I want to see a repeat of, to do something funny, try something I otherwise wouldn't do, in case there's a crash, there's a crapload of reasons. Generally speaking, I don't really abuse quick saving, but I feel like there are enough threats in Dead Money that, generally speaking, quick saving isn't that exploitable anyways, bar a few circumstances and perhaps deliberately exploiting glitches, which is its own thing entirely. So with that, I feel like I've covered all the ground I really can regarding the gameplay in this DLC. The moment-to-moment gameplay ranges from passable to engaging, but the most enjoyable part of the experience by far is just trying to survive, trying to make sure that I have enough chips to get whatever supplies I need from the vending machines, using scrap metal to make certain explosives, recycling ammo cases, all that jazz. Honestly, it's pretty damn excellent in that regard. Easily some of the most engaging hours that I've spent with New Vegas have come from Dead Money and trying to think about what the next step of the heist will be. As for the story and characters, I've made it no secret that there are definitely some errors in regards to the writing, ranging from the minor to the outright nonsensical stuff that I just don't really understand, or at least didn't without taking a serious deep dive into this damn plot. My biggest problems include the outright nonsensical things, like how the fuck was Christine able to have a throat operation performed on her multiple times over the course of, what was it, a week, without detonating the bomb collar tied to her fucking neck? Seriously, this doesn't make any sense. Or how Dog chewed up one of these fucking things without it exploding his face. This shit is mind-boggling to me. That being said, I think the ways in which the writing of Dead Money succeeds far outweighs these issues. Dead Money does what many stories fail to do, and that's tying the themes back into the more mechanical and literal aspects of the story in ways that make sense and are consistent. A story can say and mean whatever the hell the author would like it to, provided they have the skill to convey that theme clearly enough, but when the more tangible aspects of the story don't make sense, then the audience has no reason whatsoever to take the theme seriously unless they just find some external reason to attach themselves, like relating their own life experiences to the thematic elements presented in or interpreted from the media they're consuming. However, at that point, you're leaving it to the mind of the audience to say your story is good, rather than developing your skills so that your story is inherently good to begin with. Last of Us 2 may have a wonderful theme about the poison of revenge and how hatred negatively affects us and those we love, but when it comes down to the story, nothing makes any fucking sense and the characters are either complete idiots or blatant plot devices. I fucking hate this game. And here I had you thinking that I was going to go a whole series without shitting on The Last of Us 2. Funny enough, on the flip side, Christine's tale of revenge is human, understandable. It makes sense and has multiple endings. In a handful of months, probably a little bit less than that actually, these writers were able to do so much more with the exact same theme and even the same damn voice actress than Naughty Dog could in 7 years. Get fucked, Druckmann. So the theme of Dead Money is about the importance of letting go of one's obsessions before they manifest into a deadly greed that leads to the harm of others, and each of the characters show how various kinds of obsessions can affect people. Dog and God are an embodiment of Freud's concept of the mind that have to do with control over oneself, with both personalities being unable to let go of what's hurting them, both figuratively and literally. Christine, of course, is obsessed with getting revenge on Father Elijah for the various injustices that he's committed that have negatively impacted her life. Her position is understandable, but that doesn't give it a moral pass. Domino is so obsessed with getting back at a dead man that he felt insulted by that, in some ways, Dean can be seen as a look into what Christine could have become. Elijah is a psychopathic zealot, the ultimate embodiment of the most extreme result of the Brotherhood of Steel's core values. He's obsessed with old-world technology and using it for his own ends, regardless of the detriment those ends are to others. Even the Courier can be characterized through the interactions between them and Christine, giving a number of reasons they just couldn't leave the radio broadcast be and stay away. Not that some of the reasons aren't justified or that curiosity in itself is inherently bad, but like Icarus, they flew too close to the sun. This theme also carries over into the lore and backstory. Frederick Sinclair's obsession was that of a woman. His heart was unwilling to let go of Vera Keyes, and despite the countless troubles that came from just trying to create the Sierra Madre, he would never let it stop. He even went as far as to let others become the subjects of Big Mountain, scientists that are completely without ethics, minds without morals. Sinclair had all the money in the world, but because of his obsession, all that money brought was death and sorrow. By the time he tried to make things right, it was far too late, and in the end, he paid the ultimate price. Fallout New Vegas is a story about many things, but the need to let go is consistent from the base game through all of its expansions, and Dead Money does an exceptional job at relating its characters, lore, and plot to that very theme. The NCR, Caesar's Legion, the Followers of the Apocalypse, the Kings, Mr. House, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Boomers, Father Elijah, Joshua Graham, Daniel, the Think Tank, and even Ulysses all share a common fatal flaw, and it's that they're unwilling to let go of the past. They say that those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, but New Vegas adds to this with an idea that those who obsess over history are also bound to repeat it. It's a fascinating topic, and one of the many reasons this game is still being discussed over a decade past its release. Dead Money is the perfect encapsulation of the theme of obsession and greed, with each of the characters doing a superb job at illustrating different manifestations of those very concepts. It has its shortcomings, but the overall experience is fantastic, and to call it brilliant would honestly be underselling it. Dead Money isn't just an excellent piece of additional content for New Vegas, it's a gem of a tale that any person can learn a number of things from. How else can I describe it, but as a treasure worth holding on to?